Hey guys, welcome back. I'm Rachel, this is my art desk, and today I am painting cherries with acrylics. Today I want to talk a little bit about my art journey and my plans for the future, so if you just want to watch the painting process, feel free to mute the audio. Otherwise, I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself and how my art has changed over the years. So I guess I'll start by giving you whiplash in my time machine of life all the way back to my toddlerhood. I have been drawing and making art since my earliest memories. My mom loved art, and my dreams were to one day be as good as her. I would watch her paint flowers on windows and build sets for my dance recitals, sew clothes for my Barbies, paint rooms in our house. She really dabbled in everything. Art supplies were plentiful and well used. My parents would buy large boxes of printer paper, and I loved the feeling of pulling out a fresh sheet and my 64 pack of box crayons with the sharpener on the back. Oh, yeah, I was that kid. I have a vivid memory of running out of paper and getting a tight, anxious feeling in my chest because I needed to draw, but didn't have the tools I usually had. But I had lots of creative outlets: sidewalk chalk, scrapbooking, painting, coloring books, beading, stencils, you name it, I've probably tried it. When I was in elementary, I loved drawing people. People I knew, people I made up, whole worlds of characters in my sketchbooks. I would staple all of my printer sheets together and make books of my artwork. I remember when I started at a new school in fourth grade, there was a designated art room with one or two classes a week, and I fell in love with learning art. Not just making art, but learning it. I remember early figure studies, texture exploration, and graphite still lifes. We had an art exhibit at the end of the year and to show off our projects, and I was so proud of myself. Fast forward a few years to early teenhood, I didn't make as much physical art, just some doodles now and then, and the peer pressure to fit in made me suppress my desire to make art, because to my classmates, art class was a joke. Except I really loved it, but I had to pretend that I was too grown up to be playing with paint. I remember one day I was half-heartedly finishing up a project, and my friend looked at my art and asked, "Why are you doing that? I know you're better than this." And I was hurt because I had always been praised for my art, but I think it hurt the most because it was true. I had boarded up my creativity to fit in, and I felt so dull. I began drawing again, but it was different. I copied art that I liked and replicated it the best I could. Every drawing looked like it was made by a different person because, well, it had been. I was drawing, but I lost my originality. I was a copycat and not making any creative choices of my own. I remember making a colored pencil drawing of a TV character that I was proud of. I wanted to enter it into the county fair that year, but I was told I probably shouldn't because I had plagiarized the entire thing. It flipped a switch in my brain and I realized what I was doing and why I never felt as creative as before. I began working from photos, drawing bands that I loved, or making up my own characters again. I would stop myself short every time, typically not even attempting to draw faces because I would ruin the whole thing. I lacked confidence to try to push myself. Every drawing I did, I thought to myself, this is it, this is the best drawing I will ever do. And while that sounds like a good thing to think of your art that way, it's actually discouraged me because if the drawing I did yesterday was my best drawing, why would I draw today and risk making bad art? I constantly battled the urge to stop while I was ahead. Then my friend's words came back to me. I know you're better than this. Except now, instead of those words stinging with insult, they felt encouraging. I shouldn't stop creating because I know I'm better than this. My heart pulled me forward into exploring my own personal journey of art. By this point in my life, YouTube was a goldmine of information to the art community. I was able to watch and listen to artists I admired, and I immersed myself into it. I couldn't tell you how many hours I watched of tutorials because I suddenly had access to free art classes on any subject I wanted. I had the desire to try all the things. Every medium, every subject, every style, every art challenge. I loved it all and I wanted to experience it all. Some things I loved more than others, but I never really settled down into one particular niche for any length of time. But I didn't care. For the first time since I was a very young child, I was freely creating and exploring whatever was exciting to me. The thought of restricting how I create seemed taboo. I was creating what I felt led to create. When I got married and had to adjust to adult life at 19, 20 years old, my art took a backseat for a while. I would dabble now and then, but felt too busy to spend as much time as I had before. Sometimes it didn't bother me, but there were days that I would cry because I lost my momentum and I would hear those words, "I know you're better than this." I kept putting art off until I had the time, which is an incredibly naive thing to tell yourself for any length of time, by the way. I eventually got to the point that my mental health needed me to create more than my heart needed it to. I didn't know how to pick up where I left off, and I was very discouraged because I felt like I had lost how to speak my native language. My brain knew what my art should look like, but my hands seemed to have lost the skill to make it happen. But I was not going to let myself put my pencils down because of discouragement, because I knew I could be better. I'd seen a ton of artists here on YouTube open and review art subscription boxes, and I thought that is exactly what I need. Someone to decide what art supplies I can use and give me a prompt word to inspire me, and I loved it. Those few boundaries gave me so many new ideas, and I felt like I was overflowing with creativity. I began participating in month-long art challenges like Inktober and Mermay, and I laughed at myself for having doubts and considered having given up the thing that gave me so much joy. The only thing I was struggling with at this point is when my art would come up in conversation and somebody would ask me, "What do you do?" How would I answer that? Usually, "Oh, I do everything: watercolor, sculpting, painting, alcohol markers, ink, colored pencils, doll customizations, realism, character design, portraits, landscape, fantasy, fan art, pet portraiture, food art, art challenges." I could talk for hours. And that has been the case for the past several years. It's never bothered me until recently. I was proud of what I was making, and trying new things excited me. But I haven't been able to progress my skills very efficiently when I jump around so much. I feel like the freedom I'd given myself is suddenly limiting me. Like a car that can drive anywhere, but it's a painfully slow and bumpy ride because the car isn't on a road. I need a change of pace, so I'm giving myself the freedom to leave some projects rest for now, and that I don't have to do it all in order to consider myself an artist. So, what am I going to do? I'm not giving up on all my creative outlets because I love having the option to go off-roading and experiment and explore the art world. But for the most part, I think I might start focusing on acrylic paints for a while. I really love working with them, and I want to focus on them in a way that I haven't been able to because I've been jumping around so much. I do have a few projects to wrap up for the end of this year before I can fully shift to painting, but I've already implemented daily art habits that'll carry over to my new goals. I'll be able to talk a little bit more about my art habits and goals at the beginning of the year, but for now, I hope you found this story time a little bit encouraging or inspiring. Now go make some art, and I will see you next time. Bye!